In this NewsVibe video, we're examining a world in which America's dominance seems set to decline. By 2030, global power will be shared among a handful of influential nations. While nation-states will remain central, the U.S. won't stand alone as the primary superpower. Instead, countries like Russia, China, Germany, India, and Japan will take on significant influence each, with semi-imperial ambitions. Power will spread more widely, not only across these nations, but also among various non-state networks and sprawling megacities that are growing in political and economic importance. The international order established after World War II is beginning to unravel, signaling a period of increased instability and unpredictability. Nation-states are now reasserting themselves on the world stage, expanding their influence, even as they tighten their borders, both physical and digital. However, rising global challenges like climate change, migration, terrorism, inequality, and technological disruptions are fueling insecurity, populism, and authoritarianism, rather than moving toward a more liberal or democratic order. Although it seemed during the 1990s that globalization and free market capitalism would weaken the nation-state model, today's reality is proving otherwise. Predictions of a world led by liberal democracy have not held true, and nation-states are more resilient and influential than anticipated. Far from weakening, large nation-states have continued to build up their military might, with the top spenders such as the US, China, Russia, India, Japan, and Germany preparing for future conflicts. Global defense budgets have been climbing, surpassing $1.6 trillion in recent years. Economically, these same countries are also set to remain top performers into the next decade, with high GDPs and expanding global influence. Barring any drastic global financial collapse or widespread conflict, these countries are expected to maintain their roles as leaders in international affairs. However, nation-states are not the only forces shaping the world. New models of governance and influence are emerging, fueled by the Fourth Industrial Revolution. These models go beyond traditional geopolitics, involving networks of businesses, civic groups, and criminal organizations that complicate state-driven power. Influential figures, such as Anne-Marie Slaughter, argue that political leaders need to navigate this interconnected web of influence, just as they would navigate statecraft. Large metropolitan areas are also becoming increasingly influential, sometimes even rivaling nation-states. For example, Mexico City's police force is larger than the national forces of over 100 countries, and New York City's budget exceeds that of many entire nations. As cities like Tokyo, they're challenging traditional ideas of national identity, with residents developing strong city-centered identities instead. The redistribution of global power is causing strain on the established order, with countries like China and India rising as the US and European Union adjust to new regional coalitions in Latin America, Asia, and Africa. These shifts come with increased risks of volatility and conflict as global competition intensifies. Tara Khanna, a prominent global strategy advisor, has suggested that large nation-states will continue to control crucial resources like energy and technology, while smaller countries may have to align with regional powers or risk losing influence. This trend of decentralizing power is also leading to more parastate structures, such as special economic zones, SEG, where public and private sectors converge. With thousands of SEG worldwide, some are becoming highly influential centers of trade and innovation, especially in countries like China and South Korea. These zones represent a fusion of state and corporate interests, testing the boundaries of traditional sovereignty. Nation-states are also increasingly contending with powerful non-state actors, from multinational corporations to coalitions of NGOs, unions, and other civil society groups. As these actors gain more power, nation-states will need to find ways to work with them. Finally, urbanization is another force shaping the future. Cities are rapidly growing in size and influence, with the number of megacities, urban areas with populations of over 10 million to rise. These cities are not only growing, but are also forming cross-border partnerships, creating infrastructure and networks that connect across nations. Many city governments are leading efforts to address global challenges, sometimes even taking on roles typically handled by nation states, such as resource management and international cooperation. In conclusion, while nation states are still key players, they are facing new pressures from both within and outside their borders. They are not disappearing, but they are evolving within a landscape where power is more dispersed and uncertain than ever before. This shift signals a complex future, with both challenges and opportunities, as power dynamics adapt to a rapidly changing world.